10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You already know what time it is. ReviveIsAlive.com. Once again, ReviveIsAlive.com. Tune in. Revive is alive. To the yep. You already know what time it is, man. We are live, poetry and politics. We act radio on the south side in the DMV, man. Revive is alive, Revive is alive, ReviveIsAlive.com is the place where you can find us, man. Don't forget to support Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Revive_POC. I got a special guest in the building, man. He's actually attending the event right now. He's an entrepreneur sitting with me right now as well. What's your name? Where you from? Who you are?
Christopher King. I live in Maryland by way of New York City.
Awesome. Christopher, what actually brings you out to poetry and politics tonight?
I was invited by Patty B, author and founder of Epiphany Blogs.
Awesome.
And she...
Shout out to Patty. We appreciate your support, Patty.
That's right. Put on poetry and politics.
Yes.
And
Woman in media.
I operate at the intersection of both. So I want to tell you my story a bit, and hopefully we'll get into some details.
Yes. Shout out to the details in the hat, too.
Thank
First
you.
and foremost, that caught my attention. Talk to me. Tell me a little about it.
Yeah, very important organization. This is one of my customers, one of my clients on my hat, called Push Worldwide, and they operate in about 5 different countries, headquartered in Dubai and London.
Awesome.
They do mentoring programs where they coordinate volunteers from corporate sponsors and do pop-up entrepreneurship and character development conversations with middle school and high school youth. We work with them in Cape Town, Johannesburg, Ghana, and most recently Jamaica. I went out and did a restorative justice conversation with young black men.
Shout out to them international teams.
Yeah. But I'm the founder of We Are Marcus. I'll tell you a little bit about that real quick. But
We Are Markets.
Yeah, We Are Marcus.
Okay.
WeAreMarcus.com. Check that out. We founded a EdTech platform for youth to tap into the stories of black men.
Okay.
So we all know about the mentoring situation in the United States. I like to call it the mentoring gap, meaning 1 out of 3 students have access to a quality mentoring relationship.
Facts.
Meaning 16 million missing mentors from 24 million fatherless households. So if you look around your community and you see where black men are, I want to give a special shout out to the fathers that are in the lives of their kids. But our system and structural and cultural and historical racism in so many ways has removed black men from homes intentionally.
Facts.
And what we did was, instead of looking at the one-to-one model, which actually doesn't work, so every organization that says we're going to match a mentor to a student, they're probably talking about somebody who does not look like that student. Mm-hmm. And that's not to the fault of that organization, but they're just not tapped into the solution, and we've nailed it. The EdTech platform delivers those stories, and then students get to actively journal and respond to the content we've curated, and then we're able to measure character analytics off each student. So we're growing students over time, and the early indicators of success have been reductions in behavior management referrals, so kids spending less time getting kicked out of class and more time building a stronger relationship with the teacher. The number one success factor for a student is their relationship with their teacher.
Facts. Relationships, period.
Right, relationships, period. And social capital within buildings, school buildings that are not designed for them to succeed, we teach that too, right? We talk to them about how to get to know the people in the building, how to get to know each other and band together as brothers, mm-hmm. right? And one of the frequent last questions that we'll get is, is this for girls? And the idea is, yes, absolutely. It's gender inclusive content. This speaks to my story as a former teacher myself. I'm a activist turned entrepreneur. I'm repping Howard always because I
shout out to the HBCUs.
Double grad degrees, but one in MBA from Howard, 16 to 18. And I'll also be a professor there in the spring in the School of Business.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so we just came from the Forbes Summit under 30. I just came from Afrotech last
How was
weekend.
that?
Yeah, all good. Shout out to Icon Marcus Noel, who's doing meaningful work as a partner of Forbes, mm-hmm. building an entrepreneurship playbook, digital interface for Gen Z. And we're the middle school, high school partner, as well as a tech solution to help get that data and get a better understanding so that we inform the story about what's happening to youth in schools, particularly youth of color. So that's, I know we're all the way in the weeds now, but.
No, I actually want to back up first. I got to ask, who's Marcus?
Yeah.
Who's Marcus?
Thank you.
You said so much, but you didn't ever tell me who Marcus was.
Yeah, so we named the problem. Right now, thinking about that mentor-mentee relationship.
Okay.
It's sort of been a question mark for a long time, and we just wanted to anchor that in that definition that I provided earlier of the 24 million fatherless households. So the mentor and the mentee, we're both Marcus.
Okay.
Right? So our stories connect. I more often than not, I talk to black and brown men throughout the country, and we have similar narratives, particularly those who survive public education.
Yes.
And Marcus represents that dynamic. We are is the movement behind it. So our next campaign will be I am Marcus. And what does that mean? It means you're coming from a situation in which you're pulling references to create identity. My man's nodding his head because you know. You're pulling references to figure out what manhood is about and what college access is about, what college success looks like for you, what career success, if you're not going to a four-year school, what that means to you, right? So we are Marcus. We are connected to your story. You are not alone in navigating that. You have support and you have ways to strategies and tactics to navigate this process. So I jumped into the product because most people ask me what the product is after I tell my story. My story is that I was in 11th grade. I was advised by my guidance counselor that I would never be accepted to a four-year university. Right, I had an 85 average, and I was captain of 2 sports and vice chair of the economic club. Right, so I had a future. I didn't know what it looked like. I genuinely came to this white woman and I said, I want to understand what this process is like. And she said, you're a black boy. Instant admittance at the community college is in the library next week. And that's where you're going. And I knew different because although my mom raised us on public assistance for a short amount of time, she was excelling academically. The first A I saw was my mom brought home a paper and there was an A on it. So we grew up together, right? And I was like, no, that's not my future. And I wiped the tears off my face. And unfortunately, my mom actually called the next day and said, don't ever talk to my son again.
Facts. Definitely would have had some words myself.
But I went and talked to my friends on the track team, basketball, we kicked it and talked. So, what did you hear in our advisor meeting? And one of my friends who co-founded, was involved in early founding this company, he had like 93 average, went on to RPI, became an engineer and whatnot. But in that moment, he was also told the same thing. He was like, yo, they told me that I'm not going to college. This was like 2003. We're not talking about 1920 here. Right? and this story of institutional racism is, after researching and testing our content and getting involved in CUNY, Early College Initiative, here at Eli Haynes Charter School in D.C., our partners in Charlotte, Profound Gentlemen, this is not unique. This story is still being told. There are still students in schools being told that the expectations are being lowered on them.
Always.
I get a little passionate about this. Because this is
especially
real.
in different zip codes. Zip codes matter a lot,
and zip codes determine. Zip codes, there are a lot of people out there trying to fight this opportunity gap issue, and that being your zip code being your destiny and education and what resources are available to you. Meaning
not just education, it's like your destiny from education to the people you hang around, the kind of job that you're going to get, the amount of money that you actually have, the class that you fit in, you know what I mean? So your zip code is really and that's why when you fill out different applications, they don't even ask you for your full address. They only ask you to simply put your zip code in there. So your zip code actually represents just as your social security number. You know what I mean? They always try to keep a number or a tab on you. Speaking of numbers, let me ask you this, because this is one thing that I find when it comes to the youth, because we actually do a lot of work in high schools and different things like that in the Philadelphia area. And when it comes to kids and working with the youth, a lot of people see dollar signs. A lot of people see money because states and cities and federal government will fund youth projects. They will fund, different things that are happening in the school. So when it comes down to, third parties such as charter schools and things like that, which are typically privately owned by private businesses who are making tons of money, who are getting tons of tax breaks and different things like that. And they're doing it by, they're getting rich basically off of kids' education, you know, if we're going to be honest about it. So when you think about, you know, numbers, that's typically what they do to students as well. They make them a number, they make them a statistic. So when you have third parties coming into schools and you have third parties, you know, mentoring and educating, you know, the youth and things like that, how do you separate yourself from, you know, another company or another organization or another, you know, state or government ran, you know, situation, making them another number or statistic?
So complicated and loaded question, important question. So as it relates to, so I'll take it a couple layers at a time. So first, governance, right? So who is making decisions around the welfare of the student? And you have a lot of blanket labels, whether that be charter, traditional public, or private. So if we start with charter, so charters are typically founded by radical educators who want to do something different. How they are funded per pupil seat or, you know, fundraised from outside sources are typically done to figure out how to innovate in education, because traditional public is not welcoming to innovation. It's just not built for that. So when we look at governance or governance as it relates to charter schools, there are good charters and bad charters in terms of academic achievement. What most charters are trying to figure out is how to develop the whole child and do personalized learning and other methods. When that fails, that's not a good look, and students should not go to that school, and it should no longer exist. However, with that contingency, you have, whenever schools close, typically it hurts the child, right? So whether it's traditional public and they close or it's charter and they close, it hurts the child more than it hurts the adults. Right, their transition to another building is going to create a traumatic experience that most likely upsets their academic rhythm, and it can take at least 3 to 5 years for them to recover from that. Mm-hmm. So personally, I'm opposed to all things that create more trauma. As it relates to We Are Marcus, we are actually connecting the dot with our content about what it means to be in a school and then survive after that and excel and thrive. So the other piece is like how the money flows. So ed tech platforms, most of that
Chris, we gotta make it fast too.
Yeah, I'll try. Because this is deep, right?
I want to invite you on a full interview too. I want to invite you. I want to actually invite you to the show.
I would love to come
interview.
back. These conversations are necessary
because you're sparking a lot of things in my mind that I know that we need to have a conversation about.
Yeah,
this is what
we really do. That's why I hopped in. I was like, yo, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Like,
so can you tell them how they can find you right now? Stay locked, website, and so much.
WeAreMarcus.com. We do we partner with schools and after school programs. And we're monthly to annual subscription. We want to get 3 to 5 year commitments from schools so that we can really make a difference. And cost is not a barrier to impact for us. We do have a price point, but we can discount that for the needs of the kids. So we are not standing in the way. We're not looking to profit off kids. However, we are looking to sustain our work. And what we care about, we put money into. So that's where we're at. We want to make sure that we invest mutually and we grow with schools that want to have more impact, as particularly in the schools that are throughout the district and Maryland and Virginia.
Perfect, man. I appreciate you, Chris, man. You already know what time it is. It's your girl, P.O.C. That was a great conversation, man. Once again, we at Poetry and Politics. We act radio, DMV area, Southside. You already know what time it is.
Tuning out for iRadio. Tuning out for iRadio.
Yep, to the yep. You already know what time it is, man. It's Meet Your Girl P.O.C, host of Revive Radio. We are live right now on Revive is Alive, ReviveIsAlive.com, man. Make sure you guys follow us as well. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Revive_POC. Don't forget, man, you gotta get up anyway, so why not get up with Meet Your Girl P.O.C each and every morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m., man. I truly appreciate everybody who's tuning in right now. Don't forget, man, subscribe to the YouTube channel as well as the newsletter so you can stay locked with everything we got going on. But right now, we at We Act Radio, Poetry and Politics. I got a special guest with me right now. She actually is a guest attending the event. What's your name? Tell the people who you are.
Azira the Poet.
Okay, and how you feeling tonight?
Awesome.
Nice
and pregnant.
You okay? Thank you. With child, you know, how does it feel to be popping out with the baby?
This my last performance. I keep saying that, but then it's like poetry and politics came up.
Yes.
Like, but I'm gonna be nesting after this. My birthday, me and my daughter's birthday is Tuesday, so after that, I can really relax.
Happy birthday, first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So you celebrating your birthday the right way, doing something that you love to do. What actually made you want to perform tonight at Poetry and Politics?
Justin called me this morning.
Oh, that's like, the call right there.
Yeah, I was like, I'm on my way, bro. I'm on my way. So, definitely. And then I heard Revive was here. So
yes.
Had to come show
I
love.
appreciate you. Definitely. I appreciate you. So when it comes to, you know, the crowd out there, how would you say the crowd, you know, was feeling you?
Oh, they were showing love. They were showing mad love. I love the South Side. I'm an activist in the community. So whatever I can do to, you know, show up and show out.
I'm with that. And when it comes to politics and poetry, how do you see them going hand in hand?
I mean, for real, a lot of people be like, I need to run for council.
Okay.
'Cause I be out here, but.
Show Olivia Pope on, huh?
I'm really just trying to help the people and inspiring them through poetry is my way. Mm-hmm. So they intertwine for me because I feel like politically, you gotta be like, you know, polished a certain way, everybody in your business. But when you're a poet,
not with this president we got. Come on now, you know what I'm saying? He shook it up a little bit.
Yeah, he did. But for me, you know, I just feel like I'm gonna stay in my lane. Mm-hmm. You know, like if he would have stayed in his lane, we wouldn't even be here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna just stay in my lane. I know my lane. I'm driving in my lane. Got my, you know, got the cruise control on, and I'm just chilling in my lane. So I love being a poet. I got a bunch of poetry programs that I just did over the summertime with DC Youth.
How was that?
Dope. I actually got awarded Humanitarian of the Year.
Congratulations.
By, thank you. DBH, Department of Behavioral Health, because mental health is a big part of what I do. I have a book coming out called Poetry Save My Mental Health. So I'm just trying to help the people understand that.
Do you do social work by any chance?
I used to.
Okay.
I became an entrepreneur about 2 years ago, and I haven't looked back since.
But you were coming from the social work.
Yep. I came from DC government.
Awesome. Because Black Hayes, one of the hosts, she's actually a social worker herself.
Yeah.
That's dope. So it goes hand in hand.
Definitely.
So when you work with the youth, you know, what are they talking about in their poetry? What they got to talk about?
Oh yeah, the kids are wild nowadays, especially. But for real, they just want to express themselves. They want an outlet.
What they talking about though? Are they
Girls.
talking about like home? Are they talking about school?
They talking about girls, dudes, and drugs.
Really? And they putting it together, or they putting it together in one piece? Or they separating it? Like how are they thinking? I just want to understand. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to a poem from a youth.
6-year-olds that's talking about having girlfriends.
Really?
For real. Yeah.
So it's exposure.
They are off the chain. That's why I try to just be an influence to let them know that, like, that ain't even cool, you know? Like, you gotta be you and really stand for who you are. Because a lot of people like, oh, you should rap. No, I'm not no rapper. I'm not about to do that. I'm not a Megan Thee Stallion or Nicki Minaj. I'm a Azira the Poet.
I feel you.
So understanding who I am helps me help others understand who they are.
So let me ask you this last question before we wrap up, right? When it comes to poetry, how can, we make poetry mainstream? So for people just like you, artists like you, I'm not a rapper. I don't do hip hop. I do poetry. But, you want to make that hip hop, income all at the same time because your artistry is just, as equal. Definitely. So how can you make poetry mainstream? Like, how can we push that forward?
Oh, yeah. I mean, my booking fee. That's why I told him today. Jessica called me. I was like, I don't really do this. The booking fee is $300, but I'm gonna work something out. It's the community. I mean, for me, I do enough community things that I get blessed. Mm-hmm. So Allah blesses me with those opportunities and those doors to know that, I did the National Mental Health Youth Conversion at the Capitol. Awesome. That was a $400 gig.
Congratulations.
Thank you. You just gotta know your worth and don't take no for answer or anything less than what you worth.
I feel you on that,
and
man.
With that, you gotta know, like, even with anything, being an entrepreneur, but with poetry, your words is your money. So you gotta just know how much you worth.
I'm with it. I'm definitely with it. Tell the people how they can find you, how to stay locked in everything you got going on.
Oh, I'm about to take a cleanse, y'all.
You did just tell me that.
Social media cleanse, yeah, all that. I got a nest, get ready for baby girl, but if you do want to see the upcoming projects, 202 Creates. I'm a resident with 202 Creates. And I got some stuff coming up with them.
Shout out to you in the plug. And this is the question I'm actually asking every artist who's performing today, right? Okay. When you think of the word poetry, do you think of the word competition? Do you see competition?
Definitely not. It's funny because I actually lost... 3 competitions this year? And I was so blown because I was with my husband and he was like, you're so much better than all of them. And I was like,
shout out to the support.
Right. I was like, for real, poetry not competition. Because the people that was going up, they older. Like, they been in the game, or it's politics and poetry competitions. Okay. For real. So, me, I look at it as an art. Like, you could compete, but I don't. I know my lane. So if I know that I'm getting paid, why am I going to go compete?
That makes sense.
What I'm saying? So I had to learn that the hard way, though, because I was like, no, I want to compete. I want the book deal. I want this. I want that. And my husband was like, nah, you got to just stick to what you're doing and know your worth. Mm-hmm. And I took that and I ran with it. And I haven't looked back. And I've been cashing out.
I'm about to say you had a great year.
I've been cashing out all
Definitely
summer.
Had a great year. And I appreciate you for popping out tonight, man.
Thank
you know what I'm saying?
You.
Even though you put yourself on timeout, thank you for coming out for us tonight. I appreciate that.
For Revive?
Yes.
Yeah,
thank you, man.
Thank you.
No doubt. You already know what time it is. It's your girl, P.O.C.
Are you an entrepreneur? Are you a startup business? Are you a local business? Are you an artist? Are you looking for someone to distribute your content? Revive Radio is the place to be. Come advertise with us at Revive Radio right now. You can find that advertising page at ReviveIsAlive.com. Once again, ReviveIsAlive.com. Advertise with Revive. We are reaching thousands of millennials all across the world. And once again, ReviveIsAlive.com is where you can find that information.